Hi guys, Asmo here, and in this video I'm gonna talk about the updates and fresh news for Path of Exile Harvest League. We have some catching up to do after the guide that I released. I have some news that I didn't cover yet, so we're gonna talk about all of that today. I'm gonna give you my take on that, and we're gonna start with the Flashcrafter, which is a new unique chest armor, and it has pretty nice graphics overall. It's an ES base, requires level 5960 int, extra energy shield. Minions convert 2% of their maximum life to maximum energy shield per 1% chaos resistance they have. Chaos damage does not bypass minions energy shield, so that means your minions basically get what is it called? The chevrons, right? Your minions basically get shavs. And then minions have 87% faster start of energy shield recharge. And while minions have energy shields, their hits ignore monsters' elemental resistances. So this is really nice part, the ignoring monsters' elemental resistances. If you're gonna play in like an occultist, then you actually don't want that. Because you want to lower the chaos res or cold res below. Actually, it doesn't affect chaos res at all, but below 0. But the cool thing about it is that if you get 50% chaos resistance on your minions, they instantly die, which means you could use something like summon skeletons, and you summon them right on your enemy, and then they explode, and with minion instability they deal damage, right? Because if you pick up minion instability, when your minions die they deal damage in an AoE, which scales with their health. So you could like bump the health of the minions as much as you can, pick up minion health nodes on top of minion damage nodes as well, and then you can just spam that and basically have like a, you know how Storm Burst works, you like channel, and wherever you hover with your cursor, like that's kind of where you're dealing damage. You can do the same thing pretty much with skeletons, right? This is called popcorn skeletons, by the way. People have done that before in many different ways, like automatically killing their skeletons or very quickly killing them. So this is how something like that could be used, basically. Just increase the chaos resistance to at least 50 of your minions, and then instantly they die. And another thing to do, I'm not sure if there is a shield item that gives you extra like damage or extra stats when you're on low life. Like basically you will be able to use low life items on minions. There is a node on the skill tree that allows your minions to take advantage of the stats on the shields, and it doesn't work with everything, but if it works with something that is applied when you are at low life, then it will apply to them when they are at low life. And I'm gonna go over like a list in the PoE wiki, I guess, and check if there are any cool interactions. Maybe we'll talk about it next time, but there's definitely potential there for this unique. So it's a very cool unique. I like the name, even Flashcrafter. You can like craft your own playstyle kind of with this. It's very cool. Or you can just have them just have ES and take advantage of the ES recharge and have your minions have, I don't know, avoidance or block or something from a nice shield, because they can take advantage of that. Then we have a keystone. This keystone is one of the new timeless jewel keystones, because the old timeless jewel keystones mostly are getting incorporated into the existing passive tree just by default without having to have a timeless jewel. So the timeless jewels are getting new ones. This is Chainbreaker. You regenerate 3 rage per second. Increases and reductions to mana regen apply instead to rage generation, so you would want to be probably blood magic for that as well, because you're gonna get no mana regen. And then you lose 5 rage when you hit an enemy, no more than once every 0.3 seconds. So if you hit like very quickly, you will lose only like 5 rage per 0.3 seconds. So this works, for example, with slower attack builds, right? Which is what they're trying to do. Instead, like having to spam hits, like normally rage works in a way that as soon as you're hitting, like you're stacking the rage, and then if you keep hitting, you keep the rage high and you expend some of it, you know, whenever you're dealing damage. But here it's kind of like reversed. Instead of having to hit as quick as possible to stack the rage and getting benefits from having the rage stacked, here you want to wait until it regens to full, like to whatever is the maximum amount of stacks depending on what you're playing, and then you use it on a big slam or something like that. So with this keystone you'll be able to use the rage mechanic for the slam skills. That's the intended use of this, but maybe someone will find a clever way to like abuse this. But there are definitely nice ways, like maybe even I'm not sure, it will not work with flasks unless the flask has like specifically saying that you have increased mana regeneration rate, because the mana recovery from flask will not affect this at all. But there are a bunch of nodes on the tree and a bunch of places on the tree where you can pick up mana regen. I have like a really good rage regen that self-sustains. Then we have a lot of crafting things from the harvest, and these are kind of crazy. Like when I look at them first time, I was like, what? It's like, is this real? Like you can sacrifice a map to gain 3 Zana missions. Like that's absolutely crazy, because Zana missions can be worth a lot. So the important thing is to note whether we're gonna be able to get red Zana missions, or depending on the, for example, tier of the map that you're sacrificing, or if you only get like the lower white map Zana missions. Because if you can get, if you like sacrifice a map of tier 1 to 5, you get white mission, 6 to 10 you get yellow mission, and then 11 to you know, as much as you want, 16 I guess, then you get red Zana mission. Then that's gonna be absolutely crazy. You can sacrifice your T11s and then use Zana missions on T16s to get more T16s. And also you sacrifice 1 map to gain 3 maps. Like that's crazy. It's like sacrifice 1 shitty map to get 3 better maps. This is absolutely crazy, right? Like getting June missions and Einar missions, whatever, that's cool. Changing stack of fossils into a different type of fossil, that's like way useful in that. The reason why the Zana missions are so good, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know, is that Zana in higher tier maps, since you are like from tier 14, but it's the best at T16, she has a high chance of giving you like Elder or Shaper influenced maps, or even Cortex, which you can get which you can farm and get like 50C for a fragment from them. So this is very, very nice. Then we have like changing stacks of certain items like essences, oils, maps, map fragments, currency, scarabs or whatever, and reforging them into other random ones. So if you have some shitty versions of certain item, you can reforge them into another one. So that's pretty cool. But the Zana missions is the most insane thing. Like it's absolutely crazy. Then we have more crafting. This is also another preview from the future crafting options. We can change a unique item into Perandus coins, and the rarer unique items are worth more Perandus coins. So Perandus coins are pretty useless. They're not worth that much. I don't think anybody will like, I don't know, unless it gives like fucking billion of them, but I don't think this is gonna be very much used. Sacrifice, change a sacrifice or mortal fragment into another random fragment of that type. So if you want to do a Atziri faster, you can do the, you know, whether there's like midnight, noon, whatever, and you can sacrifice the more popular one for a chance to get the rarer one. Like depends on like whatever is the weight of them. I guess it would not make sense for this mod to even exist if they were not fairly equal, right? Because if it's the same chance to get the rare one, then why would you even bother doing that, right? Like 30 life force or whatever, like you don't want to do that. Change a pale chord key into another random pale chord key. These look actually like a good solo self-found tools, right? So this league is gonna be very solo self-found friendly. You're gonna be able to craft stronger items, solo self-found. You're gonna be able to acquire currency and specific encounters much easier as SSF. So if you're playing SSF, this is a really good league to do it, and you're gonna be really happy in this league with SSF. Then we have new slam reworks, right? That's another thing I didn't cover yet. So we've got Earth Shatter, sends like 5 damaging fissures, like it sends like rocks, five rock spikes around you, you know. And I guess I can show the video, so let's look at the video first, because that's gonna be definitely showcasing this very well. Let me lower the volume here, I guess. So okay, from the beginning, let's see. What do we have here? So this is this new one, right? It looks really bad because the area, like the space in between, it's not covering everything. I don't like that. This is Ice Crush. Ice Crush is actually kind of broken with a certain build that I'm gonna make a video soon about, but don't tell anyone. This is new Thunder, looks nuts. If you do another Thunder, it cancels the previous Thunder though, so that's another thing to keep in mind. This is some... Okay, this guy is using the War Cries. Is this Ground Slam? It's massive AoE. Very, very massive AoE. That's Earthquake. Very, very big AoE. It just makes spikes bigger and make the AoE bigger. And this is the new one. You can do the War Cry to like trigger the rocks to explode as well. But it's like a 2-use skill, which is always worse. Always feels worse unless it's like a huge benefit to it. Was this like an infernal War Cry or whatever this was? Okay, Tectonic. Looks actually not good. Looks actually very slow and not that big. Consecrated Path. This guy is not even igniting and not even killing everything. He's shattering? He's converting to cold? And using a shield? Like what? What is this? Okay, so in terms of the skills, we got following skills can be used with the Fist of War, and also the slam skills will be able to use with what is it? Unarmed, right? So you'll be able to use them unarmed. Funny thing, the only skill out of these, as far as I know, that you can use unarmed right now, or actually unencumbered, other than Doriani's Touch from the Doriani's Fist, I think, is the Ice Crush. And Ice Crush with what is it called? The Hollow Palm technique is actually pretty fucking nuts, and I've been making a build for it, and it's really, really cool. But other than Ice Crush, these other skills were not usable with unarmed, and now they will be. So there will be a bunch more of Hollow Palm technique and Facebreaker builds using this. Facebreaker is going to be the more popular one, but trust me, Hollow Palm technique next league is going to be expensive, probably more expensive than it is now, because it's going to be nuts with these skills. Like Hollow Palm technique Raider is way better than any like Marauder or all other melee shit you can play with this, and I'll show you in the next video. But Fist of War support is gonna work with these, and they're gonna be able to also be used with unarmed. Fist of War works with all slams except for Vol slams and Ancestral War Chief. Every few seconds an ancestor appears above your character and performs your slam in unison with you. So basically it's like a reverse the mirror archer, whatever it's called, support, which means basically you run and the ancestor appears, and that means okay, your slam is loaded, and then you do it and he does it with you, right? So you get like a supercharged slam, and then you have to wait for him to appear again, and then you do it again together. That's kind of how it's gonna work. So that's really nice. It's gonna like make the slams really strong. That's cool. So that's the Earth Shatter. We've seen it. I'm not impressed with it. You can like Leap Slam on top of it, or War Cry to trigger it, to detonate it, but I really don't like it, how it looks like. Tectonic has a little bit of a better use now. It instead of working how it was before, it depending on like consuming all endurance charges or whatever, it consumes endurance charge every 3 slams rather than random 35% chance. Okay, and then in addition, like if you have more endurance charges, you gain bigger area and more damage, I guess, right? So Tectonic Slam is going to be nice for Juggernauts stacking a lot of endurance charges. Perforate provides flat physical damage that scales with gem levels, so maybe it's going to be better to level with. Maybe it's going to be actually good for leveling. Of course, works with the stances. So we're gonna have to check and practice how it works. Like I've never played with Perforate, so I would have to see that. Sander is the new interesting one, because with Sander you're going to be able to now have a much bigger area, but the problem is that if you hit again, like before the other Sander goes all the way away from you, then it will cancel the previous one, right? So you have to use it effectively. Yeah, you can still use Sander effectively with multi-strike and fast-hitting weapons when close to enemies. Yeah, okay. It still releases shockwaves, which can overlap when they hit enemies. How can they overlap if you cancel the previous one? What? That doesn't make any sense. Leveling the gem no longer scales its radius, but instead scales its area of effect. Okay, so it's like bigger area of effect as well with leveling. Earthquake, Ground Slam, Ice Crash, pretty much unchanged, and that's it. So that's for the slams. I'm not very impressed. I think they will just buff the gems. Like, you'll see just numbers change on the gems. Those are gonna be the big changes. Like base AOE of some of them is gonna be buffed and so on. If they buff base AOE of Ice Crash, it's already pretty big AOE. But if they buff Ice Crash in any way, I'm 100% playing that. I'm having so much fun with the Raider. Next we have the Corruption Cluster. This is the one above the Witch, like above Witch Life, and it is pretty shit now. It had chaos damage over time multiplier, and it basically people were confirming, like, if you change to these values in Path of Building and apply the increased wither effect and so on, you're actually losing damage. So it's actually way worse for chaos damage over time builds, which is fine. You don't pick it up that often in chaos damage over time builds. You just skip it down for sure and just go for cluster jewels. But it might be good for the builds that deal elemental damage with the wither gloves that are the new unique. So that's something that maybe this would be good for. Other than that, it's pretty bad actually, this cluster now. And then we have the rewards. Challenge rewards are, we see these footprints for 12 challenges, right? Which I don't really care about footprints. The back attachment, the cloak, it looks kind of clunky, I don't know, for 24 challenges. And portal, which is cool. I like the portal. I think the portal looks cool in certain hideouts like this one. They chose a good one to showcase it, I guess. So the portal looks cool, and that's the totem. And that's basically it, right? Those are the rewards. So I definitely like a lot of these changes. Like, I like the fact that all of these skills which are underused are gonna be buffed. I like the crafting options for SSF. I think this Zana mission, sacrifice a map to get a Zana mission, is absolutely insane. Chainbreaker is really cool. It feels like an old school keystone that gives you like a completely changed way of like how you use a certain mechanic. And this unique Flashcrafter is very, very nice and has a big potential. So that's it for the review. In other news, I wanted to also let you know that I have started a Patreon account, and on that Patreon account you can find things like my loot filter, for example, some extra access for like Discord Q&A sessions. There are a bunch of cool rewards, but especially people I think were interested in the loot filter. So if you want to play with the specific loot filter I'm using, it's available for the Patreon supporters. Otherwise you can check it out. The link is gonna be in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.